If talk of reform and myself is dominating, I'm not there. Look, they are desperately looking for someone to blame for the massive election loss they've just been through. So let's go for Nigel Farage.
They wanted to blame you, or do they want to jump into bed with you? I thought Mr. Jenrick is kind of keen for you, to cuddle up.
Well, he's less rude about me than the other three. I mean, that is true. No, there would be no deal with them. I wouldn't trust them anyway.
Are you proud of Brexit? Do you feel like it's been an unalloyed success?
Do I think getting back our independence was the right thing to do? You bet your life. Do I think we've handled it well? Good Lord, no.
Ever wondered what it looks like when a seasoned politician turns the tables on a hard-hitting interviewer? Nigel Farage just did exactly that, leaving Sky News host Beth Rigby momentarily speechless on live TV. In a heated exchange that's got everyone talking, Farage didn't just defend himself, he exposed the disconnect between media obsessions and public concerns. This isn't just another political interview. It's a masterclass in handling tough questions and redirecting the narrative.
When you suggested that, in a video, by the way, that police withheld the truth about the person alleged to be behind this tragedy.
Well, how interesting you say that.
That we don't compromise someone's fair trial.
So this is really interesting.
And allow the families of those who have suffered to hear the truth.
Yeah, and we hide behind this again and again and again.
Why are you saying hide behind?
I'll tell you why. Lord Carlisle, Liberal Democrat peer, but a very senior legal man, along with Jonathan Hall KC, who is the government's terrorism czar.
Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favour. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. As her first salvo, Beth Rigby launched into an attack on Nigel Farage, raking up questions about his controversial past. From the very beginning, it was evident that this conversation would not be amicable. After getting off to a slow start, Farage encountered an interviewer who was hell-bent on bringing up old scandals, making his situation much worse. The atmosphere in the studio was electric as Rigby continued, fixating on old convictions and events. As the accusations mounted, Farage's frustration was palpable. It was probably the feeling of many people watching at home who were sick of the media focusing on the past instead of the present. However, an unforeseen development occurred at the exact moment that Farage appeared to be about to give in. He turned the script around with lightning speed.
Deserve to know the truth, and both Lord Carlisle and
the truth was that the suspect was not under surveillance. The truth was that the suspect had...
Do you know that?
Well, you don't know.
That there was truth behind the idea that this was in fact a migrant who had done this, and it was untrue.
I was saying, tell the truth, give the public information, and the problem will die down.
Like some
Neither of you knew.
On some TV show,
you're
a member of Parliament.
Neither of you knew.
You have to behave in a responsible way. If you give the impression to people that what's being hidden...
Farage decided to take the offensive instead of continuing to defend himself from Rigby's relentless attacks. He said that Rigby and the media were completely disconnected from the problems faced by ordinary Britons. For a brief second, Rigby was unable to respond as Farage delivered the crucial line. This obsession with the past is why you're losing the public's trust. It hit like a ton of bricks, revealing how the media ignores people's actual concerns. The interview's power dynamic changed drastically at that moment. Having started as an underdog, Farage now commands attention. He had successfully redirected Rigby's criticisms and directed them towards the media elite that she stood for. The stunned silence that ensued was a clear indication of how effective Farage's counterattack had been. After the initial excitement subsided, it became apparent that this interview was unlike any other political gathering. Farage had shown exceptional skill in changing the subject, illuminating the problems with the way the mainstream media covers politics. There was still a long way to go in this high-stakes verbal sparring match, but Farage had won this round, so the audience was curious to see what happened next. On camera, Farage had beaten Rigby, but behind the scenes, chaos was brewing. Speculation about a tech billionaire's involvement in British politics was about to escalate into a barnstorm. What if populism, a la Brexit, met with Silicon Valley wealth? Speculation circulated that Elon Musk would donate $80 million to Reform UK, sending shockwaves through the political sphere.
Part of our independence are we exploiting to our best advantage?
The point about independence is we're in charge. So we can get things right, we can get things wrong.
Do you think as a regular voter, you feel that the AUKUS deal has affected your daily life?
If I lived in Barrow in Furness and I was working in the submarines, yes, I would, absolutely. Probably more annoyed with the way Brexit's been delivered than anybody, because so many of the things that we could have done, we simply haven't. And the big one is people voted Brexit above all because they did not like the rate of the population explosion.
Reform UK, which was previously seen as an extreme group, was now making significant progress. The master communicator Farage did not confirm nor refute the Musk rumours. He chose to highlight his party's increasing momentum by capitalising on the speculation. The recent victories of Reform UK have been difficult to overlook. They were successful because they used social media to communicate with voters directly rather than relying on traditional media narratives. Without the constraints imposed by traditional media, they have been able to craft an authentic message and amass a dedicated fan base through this strategy. Westminster was rocked by Andrea Jenkyns' defection to Reform UK, a former Conservative minister. It showed that the party was drawing in more than simply angry voters. It was also luring in seasoned politicians who were fed up with the current administration. This action strengthened Reform UK's position and cast doubt on the longevity of long-standing political factions. Experts in British politics are beginning to view Reform UK as a serious challenge to the current system as their profile grows. Voters who are disillusioned with conventional media and mainstream politics are receptive to their message. Everyone is wondering if Reform UK will be the game changer that changes British politics. Farage, ever the daring, grabbed the opportunity and laid out Reform UK's goals. He portrayed a party that cared about the average Briton's problems and contrasted it strongly with the outdated style of leadership in the mainstream. He skillfully steered the interview back to Reform UK's future-oriented solutions, demonstrating a masterclass in political strategy. The growth of Reform UK is indicative of a shifting British political climate. Reform UK and similar parties are filling the vacuum left by the decline of faith in established institutions. In doing so, they're capitalising on the rising demand for political alternatives that bypass the mainstream media and address voters' issues head-on. The consequences of this change for subsequent elections may be substantial. The other parties may have to rethink their approaches and messages if Reform UK keeps making progress. In today's election, candidates that are adept at using social media and actively engaging with voters are more likely to win than those who rely on more conventional methods of campaigning. Farage's showdown with Rigby reveals a seismic shift in British politics. It's not just about one interview. It's a window into the growing divide between establishment media and political outsiders. As traditional institutions lose their grip, figures like Farage are rewriting the rules of engagement. The question now is, who will shape Britain's political future? Will it be the old guard, clinging to outdated narratives, or newcomers who speak directly to voters' concerns? Farage's performance signals a new era of political communication, one where social media savvy trumps traditional gatekeepers. This confrontation wasn't just about scoring points. It exposed the media's struggle to adapt to a changing landscape where trust is in short supply. As viewers, we're left to ponder, are we witnessing the last gasps of an old system or the birth pangs of something entirely new?